Good morning, everyone. Good evening. Hopefully you can hear me. And if you can, just type in so that we know that I'm audible. And we'll just wait and see if you guys have any questions, if we are having any technical problems, and then we'll go from there. So we wanted this session because we received a lot of questions from the Facebook group around the interview preparation season. So if you guys have questions, this is the time to ask us. We will be making this available as well. So you can ask questions. Meanwhile, I will give you some information anyway, because we've asked what are the most common questions, what is a timeline, and so on and so forth. So as we get started, I will give you some of that information right away. So most common questions, just to get you started, look at what I'm typing in terms of the most common questions. We'll also be joined by some other active Facebook members who are residents. So you can start asking questions, and we'll try to answer it here. Then the other thing which we get is the residency timeline. When can I expect the interviews? So here's when you can expect some interviews. Interviews comes in waves or phases. So make sure to go over this. The first phase, which is going on now, is more about high scores, recent graduations, maybe green card and all, and then they go down the list for the other year of graduations and probably lower scores. Then the other question that comes up is, dressing for the interviews and so on and so forth. So here's another blog on dressing for the interviews. So you can look it up. Right? So those are important details. Then there are a certain kind of quote unquote rules for successful match, which we recommend all IMGs and the Caribbean grads to look at. This is on our YouTube channel. So look at this video as well. Okay. And I see George has joined as well. So George is a very active member of this Facebook group, and he's a current resident. So, it was his idea as well. So George, hopefully I'm audible. Mariam is asking, is it a good idea to do clinical rotation while waiting for interviews or studying step 3? So ideally, you do want to do both, right? Because in the interviews, you are expected to kind of answer what are you doing currently, and they don't really like people sitting at home doing step 3, especially if you're comparing yourself to residents who don't take time off for step 3. They study for step 3 in the evening. So it's a good idea to do clinical rotation, but of course it also depends on your profile, right? So the profile will determine the need for step 3 during this season. If you're doing a surgery, if you're doing a residency in your country, does that increase your chances? So any hands-on experience is absolutely good. But if you're just in PGY1 in the home country, that may or may not, right? I mean, if you complete your residency, if you've already done your residency, it absolutely helps. But not really PG1. Is it okay to apply to IM and FM in the same program? That's a tricky one. Generally, if the program coordinators don't talk with each other, I guess you would be okay. Otherwise, you will have to justify why both IM and FM. Primary track, if your focus is primary care, then probably you could do it. Okay, let me see. Uh, 2016 grad with 250, 245, no interviews, but you said September for high scores. High scores, recent graduation, obviously a lot depends on your application as well. Your interview count will not be low with this course if everything else, the quality of LORs and all is very important. So like I said, these things matter. It should be okay. Especially a lot of programs will start in October. But from a scores perspective, you are right up there. You should be getting any time. Can we get PG in the same field in which we have done PG in the home country? So I guess the question is residency in the same field as residency in your home country. I don't know what a 2-year PG diploma is, but yes, if you have, say, done this in, pediatrics, yes, you would have a higher chance in pediatrics for sure. Yes, absolutely. That will be good for you. I'm applying to same program, prelim. So prelim and categorical, again, there is a lot of issues. If you're applying to prelim and categorical in the same program, you would be expected to justify all that. Worth taking the risk applying by mid-October? Well, it's already end of September. You have nothing to lose if you have not applied till now. You should apply, definitely. It's not risky. I mean, what is the risk now? The worst is you will not get the interviews. More US LORs from hands-on electives and January 2017. So I wasn't able to get any more USC after that. Would this affect my application adversely? Well, I mean, obviously scores matter. Recent US experience will matter. It could, but again, scores will play a role. Try to get more US experience. Is it possible to do a residency after fellowship? Yes, a lot of students actually go for, say, geriatrics fellowship or some of those fellowships, and then they come back to do residency. So that is possible depending on the field. We do have a lot of videos that we have put together. So make sure to go over these videos. They cover all aspects. 2017 grad CS attempt, and I think I missed the question. CS attempt below average scores, any hope for IM this season? So 6 months USC, with an attempt, it can be overcome. I don't know the other parts of your profile, so research always will help. Active, clinical experience will help. But with an attempt, yes, you will, and lower scores, it'll be tough for IM. May want to look in alternatives. Old grad, graduated December 16. If I apply for match 2021, will I still have a chance? You mean next season? A lot will depend on scores and other aspects. We have had people with 10 plus years match. So it's not that year of graduation is the only aspect. It's a filter, it's a soft filter, but you can still match. If IMG has no USC home country residency in neurology, good scores, are there chances to match? Yes, absolutely. Neurology residency will set you up for neuro residency here. Good scores, yes, try to get some US clinical experience, but otherwise, neuro likes publications as well. So you do have a good shot at it depending on scores. What are the chances to get into derm residency for any IMGs? The chances are very less. You can look up the NRMP report, but it does not mean they are zero. Derm does require very high scores as well as a lot of relevant research, and same goes for some of the other specialties like OB-GYN or even radiology. So the chances are there, but obviously go by the NRMP statistics, work on the aspects like research, and try to get long-term positions. Should we email before release of MSP or after release of MSP? I assume you're talking about emailing to program. After MSP release is fine. For IMGs, MSP is not that important, although it is a requirement. So let's see, other questions. I got interviews from both specialty in the same university hospital. What should I do? Well, go there and hopefully you will not run into each other. The two specialties, you will just have to play it. And if they ask you, then you have to justify why you're interested in one over the other or both, right? Best time to send email of interest to programs, now or mid-October. Now should be fine, but customized email mid-October would also be fine. The season has started. I've applied, but I'm not ECFMG certified yet. Waiting for my degree. Probably I'll get ECFMG certified in a month. Is it going to affect getting interviews? Well, you've already applied. I think you should start chasing the programs as soon as you get your ECFMG certification. And you can see, depending on other aspects, it may, if you have high scores, it will not impact your interviews. Emailing the programs already answered. For how many years USMLE score I thought was valid for 7 years, but it may have changed. Do you people provide any individual? So we have classes, we have one-on-one sessions, and we have mock interviews. This is, I think, Mohsen is asking. And I can send you the URL. You can look it up, and then we'll be happy to talk with you after this session. So let's see, what other question? Doing observership during match season, already submit application. Should I inform all programs? Yes, it'll help. I mean, you can inform programs that you are there, telling them about your observership. Let's see, what other questions are there? Can we make phone calls to programs if they don't reply to email? You're always free to call them, leave a message. Why not? Only during the soap season you have to be careful, right? So that's where all these policies kick in. You can otherwise do that. Most of the calls will go into voicemail, so that's something that you have to be aware of. No step 2 CK scores yet, and no ECFMG certificate, obviously, till mid-October. Does this eliminate? It does not eliminate your chances for interview. Of course, scores are important, and if you have a lower step 1 score, they will probably hold back inviting you. If your CK comes higher, you will have a good chance. Okay to visit the program close to my home? Of course, close to your home, same city, you can do that. Absolutely. Yeah, step 1, if you have a 240 step 1 and you're a recent graduate, you may actually get interviews. Otherwise, they will wait for your CK score to send the interview out. But of course, later in the season, as you all know, the chances for invites will obviously be lesser than, say, applying on September 15th. If one does not match this season, does it show up next time we apply? A lot of programs don't care, and it doesn't matter. If it comes up, you should be prepared, to say what improvements you've made to your profile, how you're a better applicant. If they ask you specifically, did you apply? But otherwise, don't bother about it. Focus on this year. If you don't match, don't worry, apply next year. There are, questions around pre-interview dinner. So let me just put some blog here. This was on pre-interview if you are interested. So there is pre-interview, a lot of details around how you can tackle the pre-interview dinner. Pretty good scores, but year of graduation 2015, LORs from private practice. My only university elective was 2015. Does that hurt? So, it's all a package, right? So, scores, when you say very good, if you have very good scores, that will be a good determinant for interviews. Year of graduation is a sort filter, and even for LORs, the quality of LORs matters a lot. So, tough to say, but it's not all is lost. So does it hurt your application compared to what? Not sure. But otherwise, you should be okay. Will this video be available later? Hoping. We'll probably edit it out and remove the pauses, etc. Make it available. What will be the best time to schedule interview? November or December? It basically depends. A lot of times you may not have the option, and you may have multiple interviews to juggle with. So interviews as they come, the sooner they come, the better you put it on your calendar or confirm. Go with there. I mean, don't plan too much that I will, this interview I'll do there, this interview I'll do there. As they come, you can schedule. November, December won't matter. How much important step 3 is for J1 programs? So step 3, the purpose is twofold. One is, of course, the visa. The second is, especially in IM and psychiatry, some programs are definitely looking at step 3 as a validation if you are an older graduate or if you have lower scores or other gaps. So not so much in J1 per se, but many programs, even if they offer J1 in psych and IM, do want step 3 if you're an older graduate. So if you are an older graduate, look for step 3. Okay. Some of the other questions, why you have issues having the interviews. So I just posted another blog, look at it. If a university program is a new program, will start from next year, advisable to rank them high or not? Program is near to where you live. Well, if you have good scores and you have other good university interviews, then location is a very personal preference. Depends on what you want out of the training. So some people want to go for good fellowships and all that. In that case, location doesn't really become the highest kind of priority, but it's a very personal decision. There could be family reasons for you. And remember, match is always going to be uncertain. So hard to say whether you should or should not rank a university program which is new but closer to where you live, or high or not. That's very personal. But if you are getting a lot of university programs, you should be able to, you will have a lot of options in that case, and depending on your long-term goals, you can pick and choose. Many questions on our team, so let me give you our team, those of you who are interested in knowing more about us, so look it up. If you have CK and CS scores but no step 1 CK, and because graduating in December, does that lower of chances of getting the interviews? If you have good scores, you should still be getting interviews, but you cannot do anything about ECFMG certification. So chase the programs, you should be fine. The number of interviews may not decrease. Does step 3 help to forgive old year of graduation? So year of graduation is what it is, right? So there is nothing like forgiving or all that. It does help overcome some of these flags, whether it's lower scores or older year of graduation. If you are an older YOG, yes, a lot of IM programs and other in psych will look for step 3. Here are some questions that you can ask the residents during the interview day. So a lot of students keep asking us, what should I ask? What questions should I ask the program? So here's some questions you can ask the residents. Okay, Salman, I may have missed your question. Ask again. What question do you have? Does letter of interest to program help you recommend it? Do you recommend it or not? If yes, at what time? It depends. I mean, this is a continuous process. The communication with the programs, it starts 15 September, goes on until the rank order list. Again, on your profile also, it depends. If you can do it, do it. So I think George has already responded to Salman. So this is again when to expect the interviews. I'm trying to give you some pointers. Don't get too panicky if you don't have interviews. The interviews follows a set kind of path, and as George also mentioned, look at the NRMP data on when you can expect the interviews. Does step 3 score matter? Yes, it does. Yes, it does, multiple times. Now, again, if you're a recent graduate with 250 plus, it will not help you get more interviews. If you are an older graduate, yes, it matters. If you have red flags, yes, it matters. It's not that only 230 plus matters. 230 plus is a good step 3 score. But, having step 3 to overcome some of the other flags also matters. So yeah, you should all look at this program director survey that George has just pinned. That is a very good data point. One question, if I'm an old graduate with scores in 210s, what is the best to do till I apply next year, research or USC? Depends on what your profile is. CK score will matter. Clinical experience will definitely matter a lot. Research, again, if you can get into a good university program to publish will help, but yes, clinical will matter more. Can you give me a few advice that which are the good points we should focus on, which are asking questions to the program director? I think we do have a blog. I'll maybe after this I will post that blog. But yes, a lot of times you definitely need to do a couple of things. One, obviously research the program. Second, listen to the morning presentation of the program director. Don't just rattle off questions which may have already been answered. But program specific questions, about their training, about some of those aspects of where the graduates go, if they're not on the website, are good ones to ask. So Salman, yeah, in terms of minimum, maximum, NRMP data is the source to look for. How IMGs can get hospital rotations, what we usually get is private clinic experiences. So a lot of programs actually have these rotations, but they get filled up very, very early in the season. It's not that they are not there. They are fewer, but they are available. And yes, a lot of IMGs do have to go for private clinic experiences. That is okay. But if you start early, let's say for next year, you should be able to get some of the programs that do residencies, and you should be able to rotate in that. I'm an old grad with low scores, attempt on step 3, retaking step 3. How can I increase my chances for interviews? Currently at a university research, but not getting me a publication. So if you are doing research, I think you should, obviously publication will help. Your research mentor should be able to help you get some interviews, but yes, it's a tough spot if you have lower scores. Thankfully, you don't have an attempt in step 1 or CK, but work with your mentors. Hopefully, they can call for you in certain programs. Does clinical master degree in cardiology help, or better to spend time doing USCE? Well, at this point, if you are doing a clinical masters, it will help. I mean, I'm not sure if you have an option of one or the other. USC, typically you end up spending thousands of dollars for 1 month or more. So in clinical masters, if you can get some field project, some project working with the patients or in that hospital, that I think will be very useful. Is there any state that have strict licensing in terms of date of step 1 was first taken? I am not aware of that. Sorry, not aware of the licensing dates. Wise to email same program for observership. Where have I applied for residency? Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong. They all know that you are looking for rotations, so you could do that. What's the score required for neurology? How helpful is research? How to deal with the scores drop? So Again, start with NRMP data. That will tell you everything. We do have a couple of videos on YouTube from neuro residents, how to match in neurology. Look up the YouTube channel, you should be able to find it. Can you apply to pathology with old research experience but no USCE? Yes, pathology is some specialty which has opened up recently. A lot of old graduates, lower scores, pathology is very forgiving. They do like research, so even if you have old research, I think you could go for it and take your chances. Pathology is becoming more forgiving for IMGs. What if I go without any research experience, only observerships? Can we still get match? Of course you can. I mean, research always helps, but it is not a requirement to match, right? So a lot of people think research is needed as an absolutely essential. So you have to see that these are all kind of various attributes that will help you match. It is not that if you're missing one or the other, you cannot match. So you can still match. You will be able to match, but it depends. Scores and all these factors come into play. Okay, so don't think that you cannot match without research. All right, I guess we are coming towards the end of it. We have answered most of the questions, I think, or all of the questions. So thank you all for your time. We will kind of try to edit it and post it. And best of luck for the interview season. Again, if you are looking to get in touch with us, I will put my information here, our information, and you can look us up. And thank you for your time.